Hey everybody, it's Chef Tiffany Nicole here, and welcome to A Recipe for Life. Hey everybody, it's Chef Tiffany Nicole here, and welcome to season 2 of A Recipe for Life. So today for my guest, I have made my famous shrimp and grits. So these shrimp and grits have been something I've been making for a pretty long time, and they've been pretty popular. So I'm really excited to serve them today. There's a smoked Gouda grits, really nice and creamy, which complements the kind of spicy, more like acidy taste of the shrimp. Today's guest is John and Jay Stanton, owner of Lord Primo clothing brand.
I'm taking some home. Can I take some home?
Yeah, so many, please.
That's slapping, Tip. Hold on.
Hey everybody, so we're back on season 2 of Recipe for Life. Today we have Jay and John Stanton. And so we're gonna just dive right into this conversation. So I always like to ask everybody, being a chef, being a foodie, and a person that obviously loves and enjoys to feed people, what meals or memories do you have attached to a meal or a time of the year that you would like to share, that you just like, it always sparks some type of memory for you? Because what we've learned through asking this question is that everyone's memory is like, it's not about just the fried chicken, it's like, because my big mama was in the kitchen and she let me do. So what is that memory or that food for y'all?
I think for me, let me say two real quick. So number one is like us doing Thanksgiving now, because you know this, Tiffany. It's a different level of grown when you start doing your own Thanksgiving. Away from your parents, you know what I'm saying? You got to figure out how to cook this turkey. You got to figure out this. We call you a lot for a lot of
After
this.
we use the cookbook, yes.
And so me and Johnny used to like stumbling through our first Thanksgiving. It was like, oh, we are grown now.
Yeah.
And then people actually coming over to our house and eating. That's an amazing memory. And then my second is my mama always making me peach cobbler. Anytime my mama comes into town, she makes me peach cobbler with vanilla ice cream and like
From scratch.
From scratch, yeah.
What is not from scratch? What is that?
Well, I mean, like,
you get the Betty Crocker jump off.
yeah, you just like
like a pre-made.
she like make the bread, like the bread into
she make the crust.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking, I don't think I've ever seen anybody not make it from scratch.
No,
Yeah.
I guess there is a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the one with the little crumb.
Oh, well, the
I don't mess with that.
I've had some from scratch ones like that that's fire though.
If you make some, I'll eat it too.
My cousin Stacy makes one like that is.
Oh, Stacy?
Off the
Stacey,
chain.
okay, Stacey.
Oh,
yeah.
that's weird. I'm glad
So Jay, what is that for you? Or is it kind of the same?
You know, my mom doesn't really know how to cook like that.
Oh no.
So, yeah. So,
This is true.
they always, like, family gatherings, they always have my mom bring, like, the paper plates and the drinks. And so, but the cool thing about that is that my grandma, her siblings, her like aunties, they can throw down. So like one Thanksgiving, because we're from like Bigsby, so we would literally go to Snake Creek deep down in Bigsby, and she makes like sweet potato pies and like every pie you can think of. My auntie, and she can literally have her own.
Auntie can cook.
Yeah, like her own store. She could have like opened her own bakery, like, and would have been extremely successful. And one year, a few years back, she let us all like actually participate. Because you know, in our time, they're like, no, get out the kitchen. Like, we got this, food will be ready in an hour.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, I want to learn
Yeah.
how to do, like, as we're getting older.
Secrets.
Right. It
Yeah.
was like, yeah, they didn't want to tell nobody, like, the secret stuff they put in there. And so, but it was one Thanksgiving, she actually let us help her. And it was good, but but it was the fact that she actually, like, let us participate and be a part of it. And so it made the moment just so much more special.
Dang, that's dope. Yeah, my grandmother is the baker of like our family, and my mama makes like a German chocolate cake from scratch.
Baby.
And that thing.
No, your mom makes that
And I'm
pound
not
cake.
even,
that pound
she
cake.
makes pound cake too. It's
The
so
pound
fire.
cake?
Mine.
Yeah, and I'm not even like a huge dessert person or a huge chocolate person, but that German chocolate cake and that pound cake is, you already know. John has
Maybe.
Oh, I ate the whole thing.
Maybe.
Tell your mama I ate that whole.
You didn't even want to share with anybody.
I know.
I ate that whole thing.
I know. That is hilarious. Okay, so everybody knows, or some people know, that John has a, or John and Jay have a clothing line, Lord Primo, which is super dope, super dope. And so, you know, we're in a city that is not known for fashion. You know, the industry is just really, in the Midwest in general, it's not really here.
Yeah.
So my question to you is like, how are y'all making, you know, a clothing line fashion business work in a place that's not typical for this type of industry? And just kind of what was your inspiration behind it? It's kind of like a 3-part question. Also, what have been some of your challenges with, you know, creating this brand and like seeing it be successful here?
Like building it here in Oklahoma, I say the thing that we've had to focus on is just like knowing what we want to communicate and knowing what we're good at. So obviously Oklahoma isn't known for fashion. Like to me, most people in Oklahoma are very utilitarian. It's just like, I don't want to go outside naked. So they start from that point and then put clothes on. You know what I'm saying? It's not a thought of like, let me look good, or this is what would look good against my skin tone and my body type. And so it was just, for us, it was just like, yo, how do we create, what do we want to create, and then how do we communicate that? That was the first thing. And then just really staying true to who we are. I mean, it's just like you're not trying to give us French dishes and, oh, I made this bubble crumble egg from, you know what I'm saying? You're doing stuff that really inspires you. Oh, I saw my grandmama make this, and so I did it a little bit different, but this is what I grew up eating.
Yeah.
This inspires me. And so we stay on that same line. It's like, what really inspires us? Not just like, oh, what's cool, what's hot to do.
Right.
It's what inspires us, and how do we want to communicate that? So.
Right. So what, like, with it being Oklahoma, like, why did you decide to not like say, hey, let me go to LA to do this, or let's move to New York to do this, or?
And that's a good question. I mean, it goes with the same thing I'm saying. It's about communicating what's true to me. I'm not. I was born in California, but I was raised in Oklahoma, and so to me, it always seems kind of goofy when people. Well, I don't want to say goofy. Let me say this. It doesn't seem as genuine when people take their craft and then they try to bring it to a big market and emulate that market. To me, it doesn't seem genuine. So, because I see it happen with a lot of people, it's like, yo, in order to do this fashion thing, I have to take it to LA. I have to take it to New York. Which in this day and age, I don't believe is necessarily true. Or not even I have to take it there, I have to represent what they represent. And I don't believe that's true. Like with us, it's a different type of lifestyle here. We don't live a New York lifestyle. We don't live an LA lifestyle. We don't live a London lifestyle. We live a lifestyle that I think is unique to us, and it's also just as valuable and just as important as it is for people in these other areas. And so it's just like, I wanted to create that voice, and we're still working on it, creating that voice for the people of not just Oklahoma, but of the Midwest.
Yeah.
Like, yo, we get dressed out here too. There's people out here who will fly. There's people out here with the little braid, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do we create a voice for that? And I think of it like with NWA. Before hip hop was relevant in California, these people were in Compton like, yo, we got a voice too.
Right.
It was mostly in New York. And they were like, yo, we got stuff happening out here in Compton too. Let us tell you about it. And we see how big that was.
Right.
So it's just like, it takes that grind work to be like, let me create the voice for us in the Midwest. What do we like out here? What's fashionable to us? What's cool to us? And let's do it in a big way.
Yeah, I guess that's also kind of how like Southern rap came after like the East
All
Coast,
of
West
that.
Coast. It was like, okay, well, we in New Orleans, we in, you know,
Right.
Houston, we got something to say too. So
And that's what I'm saying, because you think about, it's like, you think about these cats from Houston and Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's like, they didn't go up to New York and like, I'm gonna do hip hop. It's like, no. Like, bro, that would have been so whack. It's like, yo, we got stuff that's happening in Houston, we got stuff that's happening in Dallas, we got stuff that's happening in wherever. And let's keep it here and build it from there. So
Right. Yeah, that is so good. I
Sounds
love
good.
that. So, like, what's your advice to someone else that's kind of, I guess you probably already said it, just stay authentic to yourself? Because, you know, I'm sure there's other people that, like, in Montana or something random.
Absolutely.
They like, I mean, not that Montana's random, I'm sorry. But somewhere.
no disrespect to Montana.
But they might be like, man, I would love to do this, but I have to live in this city, or I have to leave, and, you know, they think these type of things because that's kind of what was necessary before. But like you said too, now that's not even necessary with just the way the world is, social media and all. Like, you don't have to do all that anymore.
I mean, and here's my advice to people. I would just say, know what you're doing it for. Because to be completely honest with you, like, this is a very uncomfortable space for me. Like, I know you know me, Tiff. Obviously my wife knows, but I'm a very low-key person. Like, I can chill in the background, I'm cool. But doing something like this causes me to be in the forefront. It's just like when you cook something, you have to put your dish out there and let people critique it. Oh, it got too much salt. Oh, you put too much this. It's like, oh, I know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's easier to stay in your shell and be like, yo, it's okay for you. So it's like, people don't realize every time you put out something, it's people who judge it. Oh, this is whack. Oh, you charge too much. Oh, it's this and that.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, I would much rather not do this, but I know what I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
I'm building a legacy for my family. I'm building a legacy for us in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And so I can push past my own thing to be like, yo, this is an important reason. So for anybody out there trying to do it, you need to know what you're doing it for, because that's the thing that's gonna keep you going.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's real. Like, there's so many chefs that like have all these awards and they do all this stuff and they cook all this stuff, and it's like, I used to feel very intimidated, like, well, dang, I didn't go to culinary school, or I don't cook like this, or I'm not this French trained chef that know how to make all this stuff. And it's just like, but because I stick to, okay, I'm just do what I know and what I, you know, what's authentic to me, and that's what I'm gonna put out there, and that's what makes me feel confident, you know. And I think, but it is easy to like get lost in that a little bit, because you're like, well, I gotta prove that I'm, you know. What is something that y'all do or have like implemented into y'all lifestyle to kind of like keep y'all encouraged, keep y'all pushing?
Let you go, wife.
Okay.
Tell us your regimen.
Well, right now my regimen is a little different, seeing that my husband can't walk yet. But I think for us, the biggest part is just, one, keeping God first. I mean, honestly, I know people use that all the time, but it really is what pushes us. It really is what motivates us to do what we honestly feel like God has called us to. And so, like, even what John said, it's not easy. It's not even something we want to keep doing every day. But we know that God told us to do it. And so it's just like, we can't do this without you. Like, we didn't start it without you, and we can't continue it without you. And so, because if it's only by what men say, we would have quit a long time ago. Like, the cost and this, and people not even knowing, like, no, this man is literally making each garment. Like, they're like, well, why would you charge that? Because he's making it. Right. There was times he slept at the shop just to create it, just to give people something that they've never seen before, never felt before. And so I think that's the motivation behind, like, we have to stay with God, like, because he's the one that's pushing this. Because we could quit. We could have quit and should have quit a long time ago. But I think that's the biggest thing. Like, even with our kids in the morning, like, mornings can be difficult with kids. They don't want to go to school every morning. They got a headache every morning. They got a fever, check my temperature. And I think that literally, those are my kids every day. And so we start the morning off with worship. It's just like creating the atmosphere that we desire, instead of, come on girl, we gotta go and we gotta rush out the door. And so it just keeps the atmosphere peaceful, and then keeps us focused. Keeps us, like, even with work, like, we take moments in our day to just meditate on God's word, to meditate and worship, and just to set that time, like that personal time aside for Jesus. And I think a lot of times people think, like, we gotta light candles and sit around the tree and you know, for a couple hours just to, like, communicate to God. But that's not it. Like, we talk to him daily, and I think that's my thing, is just creating space for God just to speak, and just to keep us motivated, keep us pushing, keep us doing what we feel like he's called us to do.
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
I mean, and that's good. Like, just like you said, we start the day like that. And I mean, whether it's like working out consistently, it's just really, for us, it helps to build a rhythm, especially in the family. But then also making sure that we rest weekly.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? There's days to where it's like we don't leave the house. Because it's just like, we get so, especially in our Western society, we get so, oh, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's go do this. I gotta grind, I gotta catch up with this person, I gotta do that. And it's like, so many times we don't let our bodies, our minds, our hearts just rest. And so it's consistently resting weekly is really been helping us a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's an amazing thing. So that's definitely in our rhythm to help us build and do what we do.
Yeah, I think people undervalue rest a lot, because I think especially being an entrepreneur, you like, okay, I'm not doing nothing. Like, I need to be doing something.
I'm standing still, I'm moving backwards.
Or like someone's beating me. Like, it's like, nobody is, because you in your own race.
Yeah, and I mean, I heard Kobe say it, Kobe Bryant, he was like, he had been practicing so much and learning how to play basketball and stuff, and he was only sleeping like 2 or 3 hours a day.
Oh, Lord.
And so he was grinding so much, and he's like, yo, why when I get in the game, I can't do the step back, the crossover step back and shot like I usually do. And he realized he wasn't resting enough.
Yeah.
And he literally just started resting 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And his game went to another level because he just allowed himself to rest.
Right.
And so rest is a pivotal part of work. You can't work effectively, fully effectively without resting.
That is so good. That is so good. Yeah, I think a lot of entrepreneurs need to hear that because I think a lot of them are like, let me take on all these projects, let me do it. And it's just like, dude, you're not going to be great at all this stuff because you're not even resting to really, first of all, hear clearly what you're supposed to you can't even know what you're supposed to really be doing because you're so like, I got to do everything.
Yeah. Right.
But I think that is just, attribute that to our society and like just the whole like, you got to be doing this, you got to stay on top, you got to do this. Like, okay.
No, that's 100% real.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. This is our redo for everybody who saw the first one.
We made 2 episodes.
What would y'all say is y'all's recipe for life? Just based on what we just kind of talked about.
Oh, I would say mine is just number 1, prioritizing. Making sure, for me, my priorities are God, family, and friends. And so, for me, when I prioritize that, everything else just seems to fall into place better. So, prioritizing, my recipe for life.
Okay, awesome. Jay?
My recipe for life. Grits. It really is.
He's like, that's
grits
really
are really my favorite. But I would say, similar to what John said, mine would be faith, family, friends. And I think if without those 3 things, I don't think there would be a different recipe. Like only because without God, without family, without friends, it's just what is life? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like not having, like most of our friends we've been friends with over decades, and our family, like, you know what I'm saying? And just like having the support of our family and friends, and I don't even know what I would be doing without those 3 components. So yeah, family, faith, family, and friends would be mine as well.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's literally like the fabric of life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, no pun intended.
I was wondering if anybody's going to catch it.
So this has been great. I appreciate everybody for tuning in and listening to this conversation.
Absolutely.
If that's even a word. I love these guys and I appreciate you guys and hope you enjoyed. So thank you for tuning in.